The ninth house represents the quest for meaning. It is the realm of the higher mind, governing philosophy, long-distance travel, higher education, and the legal systems that hold society together. When Saturn, the planet of restriction, discipline, and karmic lessons, takes up residence here, the expansive horizons of the ninth house are met with a rigorous, often somber architect. The weight of belief. For an individual with Saturn in the ninth house, the search for truth is rarely a light-hearted adventure. While others might try on religions or philosophies like seasonal clothing, you likely approach belief systems with a profound sense of responsibility. There is often an early life skepticism or, conversely, an upbringing within a very rigid, dogmatic framework. Saturn here acts as a filter. It demands that any philosophy you subscribe to must be practical, provable, and durable. You aren't interested in fluff, you want a belief system that can withstand the harshest winters of the soul. This can lead to a period of philosophical dryness in early adulthood where you feel disconnected from a higher purpose, only to build a rock-solid, authentic faith later in life through personal trial and error. The academic climb. Higher education under Saturn's gaze is seldom a breezy 4-year experience. You might face significant delays in obtaining a degree, or perhaps you choose a field of study that is incredibly demanding, such as law, theology, or history. There is a recurring theme of the perpetual student who fears they never know quite enough to be an authority. However, Saturn's gift is mastery. While it may take you longer to finish your studies, the knowledge you acquire is not superficial. You don't just learn the material, you colonize it. By the time of your Saturn return, around age 29, you often emerge as a legitimate authority figure in your chosen intellectual field. Long-distance lessons. The ninth house also governs foreign lands and travel. With Saturn situated here, travel is rarely just for vacation. It is often linked to work, duty, or profound life transitions. You might feel a strange sense of trepidation about leaving your home base, or perhaps you encounter bureaucratic hurdles, visas, permits, or rigid schedules whenever you attempt to cross borders. Yet, foreign cultures often provide the structure you seek. You may find yourself living abroad later in life, not as a tourist, but as a resident who deeply respects the traditions and laws of the new land. Saturn rewards the slow integration into unfamiliar territories, turning the alien into something structured and understood. The internal judge and the law. Ethically, Saturn in the ninth house creates a powerful internal moral compass. You are likely hyper-aware of the consequences of your actions and the laws of cause and effect. This can manifest as a fear of divine punishment or a more secular obsession with social justice and legal integrity. You may find yourself drawn to the legal profession or positions where you must interpret the rules for others. The challenge is to avoid becoming the moral police. There is a risk of becoming overly dogmatic or judgmental of those who live with more spontaneity or less structure. The ultimate lesson of this placement is to learn that while the law provides the bones of society, compassion provides the breath. The midlife awakening. As you age, the heavy lead of Saturn begins to transform into the gold of wisdom. The anxieties you felt in your youth regarding your place in the universe begin to subside. You realize that you don't need to have all the answers, you just need to have the right questions and the discipline to follow them. Ultimately, Saturn in the ninth house is the mark of the elder. You are meant to become a bridge between the ancient traditions of the past and the practical needs of the future. Your wisdom isn't derived from books alone, but from the hard-won experience of trying to find order in an often chaotic world. You teach us that true freedom isn't the absence of boundaries, but the mastery of them. How Saturn expresses its discipline in the ninth house depends heavily on the flavor of the zodiac sign it inhabits. Here is a brief look at how this energy manifests across the elements and qualities. The fire signs: Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. In fire signs, Saturn acts as a dampener on natural enthusiasm, turning it into a focused, burning ambition. Aries, you feel a heavy responsibility to be a pioneer or a leader in thought, but you may struggle with the frustration of slow progress. Leo, your personal gospel or creative philosophy is taken very seriously. You seek to be an authority whose wisdom is respected and admired. Sagittarius, Saturn's accidental dignity here. This is the quintessential seeker. You are rigorous about the truth and may be drawn to traditional religious or academic structures. The earth signs, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. Here, Saturn is at its most pragmatic. The search for meaning is tied directly to the physical world and tangible results. Taurus, you seek a philosophy that provides financial or physical security. Your beliefs are incredibly stubborn and slow to change. Virgo, you find the divine in the details. Your religion is often one of service, methodology, and technical perfection. Capricorn, Saturn is at home here. You are the architect of systems, likely reaching the heights of academia or law through sheer endurance and respect for hierarchy. The air signs, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. Saturn in air signs focuses on the structural integrity of ideas, communication, and social justice. Gemini, you may have experienced difficulties in early schooling, leading to a disciplined, almost obsessive need to master facts and logic later in life. Libra, your search for truth is filtered through the lens of justice and human relationships. You are the fair judge who takes the ethics of partnership very seriously. Aquarius, you are the disciplined radical. You seek to build new social structures or scientific paradigms, but you do so with a cautious, step-by-step approach. The water signs, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. In water, Saturn attempts to put a container around the vast ocean of emotion and intuition. Cancer, your belief systems are deeply tied to your heritage, family, and roots. You may feel a karmic duty to protect or uphold traditional values. Scorpio, you have a profound, sometimes heavy, interest in the mysteries of life, death, and the occult. You seek the truth in the shadows and don't tolerate superficiality. Pisces, this is a complex placement where the boundaries of Saturn meet the limitlessness of Pisces. You may struggle to structure your spirituality, often finding peace through a disciplined practice like meditation or solitary study. When Saturn transits your natal 9th house, a journey that typically lasts about 2.5 to 3 years, it acts as a cosmic quality control inspector for your worldview. This is not a time for blind leaps of faith, it is a period of rigorous intellectual pruning. If your life were a house, the 9th house transit is when Saturn checks the integrity of the roof, your highest principles, to ensure they can actually protect you from the elements. The reality check of belief. The most profound effect of this transit is often a crisis of faith or, more accurately, a testing of faith. You may find that the philosophies or spiritual practices that sustained you for the last decade suddenly feel hollow, dry, or impractical. Saturn demands that your beliefs be more than just pretty ideas, they must be functional. If you have been coasting on borrowed wisdom or spiritual bypassing, Saturn will likely strip those illusions away. This can feel like a period of cynicism or intellectual loneliness, but the goal is to help you build a personalized, authentic set of ethics that are yours alone, rather than those inherited from family or society. The disciplined scholar. If you are involved in higher education, publishing, or legal matters during this transit, expect a heavy workload. This is not the time for faking it. Saturn in the 9th house rewards the grind. Students, you may face delays, grueling exams, or a sudden urge to change your major to something more practical and serious. Professionals, if you work in law, religion, or academia, you may be called to step into a position of greater responsibility that requires immense discipline. Writers, this is an excellent transit for the long, arduous process of writing a book or finishing a thesis. Saturn provides the seat of the pants to the chair energy needed to turn abstract ideas into a physical manuscript. Travel is duty, not leisure. The 9th house governs long-distance travel, but under a Saturn transit, the wanderlust takes on a somber tone. Travel during this time is rarely for pure relaxation. You might travel for business, to care for an elderly relative, or to settle a legal matter. There can be a feeling of restriction regarding your freedom of movement. You may experience bureaucratic red tape, visa delays, or a general sense that the world is a much smaller, more regulated place than you previously thought. However, any travel you do undertake tends to be life-changing in a sober, maturing way. You aren't just seeing the sights, you are witnessing how the world actually works. Refining the moral compass. As Saturn moves through this house, it often brings you into contact with the law, whether that is the literal legal system or the metaphorical laws of karma. You become acutely aware of the consequences of your opinions. This is a period where being right becomes less important than being ethical. You may find yourself settling long-standing legal disputes or having to defend your reputation. The key to navigating this is integrity. Saturn punishes shortcuts but deeply rewards those who take the high road, even when it is the steeper, more difficult path. The outcome, philosophical maturity. By the time Saturn exits the 9th house and crosses into your 10th house, mid-heaven, you will have graduated from a specific school of thought. You will likely emerge with a more conservative, grounded, and realistic perspective on life. The high-minded theories have been put through the fire, and what remains is a solid foundation of wisdom. You are no longer guessing what you believe, you know what you believe because you have lived it.